You'll remember West Auckland, was hit by a deluge at the weekend, with several properties and roads submerged by several metres of water after record rainfall in just 1 hour. In Gleneden, a 16-unit property was badly affected when a stormwater drain in its rear simply couldn't handle the downpour. The families living inside 6 of the ground floor units have lost basically everything. Many are new immigrants. None of the people we spoke to had any kind of insurance. But it wasn't the first time that property had flooded. In 2012, the exact same thing happened and was sold to Wellpark Trust 3 months later. A building consent document shows $19,000 was spent reconstructing a flood-damaged concrete floor. The Trust director, Philip Davis, told Checkpot on Monday he had no idea his property was flood-prone, but would inform new tenants from then on that it was. We accepted that at face value, and then we started to do our own inquiries, and they have revealed that not only did the LIM report list the property as a flood risk, Philip Davis was personally informed of that fact. Former Auckland Council stormwater engineer Peter Kovacevich told our reporter Zach Fleming he remembers speaking to Mr Davis back in 2012.
Do you personally remember informing Philip of the flood risk?
Well, I can recall I had a couple of discussions with him, and I'm pretty sure that it would have been most unlikely for me, knowing what I did about that, to have not confirmed it. Generally speaking, my practice of the day on those situations was either send them an email or, in fact, write a letter just setting out what the situation was and what could be expected by way of remedial works. So I'd be surprised if he didn't at least get an email, but it's possible that it was simply a conversation. But certainly in the conversation he'd have been advised there were major risks down there.
This is confusing to us because that contradicts what we were told by Mr Davis himself on Monday night. Zach Fleming has been out at the property this afternoon to see what remedial work is being done at the site by the Wellpark Trust. Zach, what does it look like out there?
John, it's been 3 days since these floods hit on Sunday, and a contractor hired by the landlord to get rid of the carpets has only just arrived now, late this afternoon. The insides of these units absolutely stink because they've been left sopping wet for 3 days now. The people who live here that I spoke to say they feel absolutely abandoned by the property owner, which is the Wellpark Trust. They haven't heard from anybody from the trust, not the director of the trust, Philip Davis, or the appointed property manager, Michael Page. Michael Page hasn't returned any of their calls, and some of the tenants I spoke to say they've left several messages with him. The saving grace actually for them here has been Auckland Council. The council are here at the moment helping all of the tenants remove their belongings from the property and store them somewhere else in a safe place. Hopefully they can salvage some of them. There are actually even some people from the Auckland Council's cemeteries unit here helping them out. So Auckland Council is obviously mobilising as many people as they can to help them. Council has also offered to put these people up in emergency accommodation for as long as they need to, until the property owner can sort their accommodation out for them, until it dries out. One of the women I spoke to from the cemeteries unit rolled her eyes at me when I asked her, why are you guys here helping out as opposed to the landlord? She said that's a really valid question, especially considering that Philip Davis knew that this property was at a risk of flooding. The property has now flooded and the people who live here have lost everything, but now Philip Davis and the Wellpark Trust aren't helping them out.
Zach Fleming from the building. We'd love to talk to Mr Davis about what he knew about how flood prone that building was and his obligations and responsibility to his tenants, both as they were moving in to inform them of the flood risk and now the flooding has happened. Mr Davis, if you're there, please do call in.